Good evening, welcome back to Ghost Stories with Joanna. I am Joanna and we're going to read some ghost stories from Reddit today. We are looking at r/ghost stories today, so grab yourself a beverage, maybe get cozy, have a snack, and let's get into these spooky stories, shall we? Are you sitting comfortably? Then let's begin. I don't know, I just clicked. Sorry if that's really annoying. My ADHD is ADHD, probably. Am I sitting comfortably? Trying to. Okie dokie. The first story is called The Devil's Triangle. This happened to me when I was younger. It is a true story. I was maybe officially in my double digits, but still around that age where the only scary stuff you know and believe in is the cliche things such as zombies, vampires, werewolves, the devil, things like that. Is the devil just a scary cliche? I guess that's up for debate. Depends what you believe in. I had, and still have, best friends who happen to be twins. We lived in New Jersey at the time, and I lived about 15 minutes away from their house. The area I lived in was nothing but houses, but they lived in the middle of nowhere. Woods, woods, and more woods for ages. Oh, fun. I mean, great for kids, right? And going out, great for adults to be around nature, but also woods is scary as hell, especially at night. Just saying. I'm just a really jumpy, superstitious person and get scared quite easily. And trying doing this kind of content is the best idea for me. To be fair, the worst nightmares I have got nothing to do with ghosts, they're about real freaking people. Moving on, so there's a lot of woods around them, and naturally, they loved it. I met them in 3rd grade, and we started hanging out around 4th grade. Well, from the start, they told me all the paranormal stuff that they claimed happened around their house. They were the first people to get me into the spookier side of things. They introduced me to YouTubers whose videos still give me the chills now as an adult. Shout out to Mr. Nightmare. I don't know who that is. I was never really big on YouTubers. I'm still not an avid watcher of a lot of YouTubers, and like the only way I know who Mr. Beast is from controversies. That's literally my dip into YouTube and stuff. Yeah. From the start, they told me of a supposed Satanist cult in their area. Great. Awesome. Now, again, I wasn't a huge believer in ghosts or anything at that age, but it was interesting to hear about it from 2 kids who very clearly were believers. Anyways, there is a field pretty close to their house, and about halfway down that field is a quarry. There is a gravel road, pit road is what we used to call it, that leads through the woods and down into the field so workers and trucks can come and go to the quarry. Well, just in the woods, a short, maybe 5-minute walk from Pit Road, was a spot they called the Devil's Triangle. Bam, bam, bam. They never explained it, so I had no idea what it looked like, but they told me about it all the time. I always pictured some ritualistic table with skulls and candles and whatnot being a young kid. Well, we talked about it. We never went there until a year or so of hanging out. So, sometime around 5th grade, they finally decided to take me there and sacrifice you. They're also twins, creepy. I'm not saying all twins are creepy, but I'm saying all twins are creepy, especially if they're identical. Let's see where this goes. I'm guessing Opie has not been sacrificed, or they wouldn't be telling this tale, would they? Plot twist, they did it from beyond the grave. So, We made the short walk to the field, then along the tree line surrounding it, and eventually onto Pit Road. We avoided the passing trucks as people, especially children, weren't allowed back there. I wonder why. Sounds pretty dangerous. Eventually, they pointed and told me we needed to step off the trail and into the woods to continue. The second, and I mean the exact second, my foot hit the grass and leaves off the trail, it hit me. The burning, spine-tingling sensation of being watched, of eyes burning into the back of my neck. It was also accompanied by this horrendous butterfly feeling in my stomach, like any second I would throw up. I kept quiet. I didn't want to chicken out. They'd think I was a wimp. Yeah, kids are kids. We carried on, and eventually I saw it. Absolutely fuck all. Nothing. Until we stepped closer. I can only describe it as a crater in the ground, a random 7 to 8 foot deep circle in the ground, probably about 30 to 40 some odd feet in diameter. Not super great with measurements. Me neither, it's fine. Me trying to figure out what that would look like in my head. It's just blank. So, but it was a crater. But the odd thing about it was the fact that the centre of the crater was raised, level with the ground outside it. And on the centre was an old fold-out table. I say old, it could have been only a year old, but the weather had made it look so nasty and worn, and it almost snapped in 2 pieces. That was it. The devil's triangle was more of a devil's donut. It sounds like this could actually be a site for an actual, old ritual place. It sounds kind of man-made, where you had, the altar in the middle. I don't know where this is. Considering on their, grammar, I'm going to guess it's in America, just because of how they spell certain words. So, yeah, weird. Could actually be Christian. I don't know, but it was they weren't it might be Native American. I'm going off, and it could also just be weird Satanists. All part of the quarry, but they said it was in the woods. I'm getting ahead of myself. Back to it. This is where they pointed out the triangle aspect. There were 3 trees, the only signs of life in the forest filled with it. 3 trees on the outer edge of the crater. They just so happened to form a triangle around the crater. Moving on from the descriptions, we stood on the edge of it, not really wanting to step in considering it was supposedly evil. But the younger of the twins, C, decided we should, so we did. When I said chills were constantly going down my back as we walked into the woods, they only intensified 100-fold as we stepped down into the triangle. And then I remember nothing. Absolutely nothing. One of the twins, M, stayed close, seeing that I had been getting paler the whole walk to the triangle, but he did explore, just like C, and we separated. Oh no. All staying in the triangle, just not side by side or anything. After about 5 minutes, when M looked at me, he said I was looking around, but I was blank-faced. He apparently said, "You looked really bored, P." My response to him, "M, come here." "I'm right here, dude." "No, I mean, come here now." He said I didn't shout, I wasn't angry, I wasn't anything, but something made him come over to me, and the second he stood beside me, one of the 3 trees fell. A perfectly healthy, intact, living, quite large tree collapsed. exactly where he was standing not 3 seconds ago. C looked over, asked what happened. M responded and explained the situation. C looked at me and asked, "Why did you call M over?" I knew. They asked me about 59 times what "I knew" meant, but I suggested we leave. So we ran. After 5 minutes of running, they said we stopped to catch our breath, and that's where my memory kicks in. I remember stopping to breathe, and that's it. I don't remember going into the triangle. I don't remember calling M to me. I don't remember the tree. I don't even remember leaving the triangle and running. I remember catching my breath, and then I was fine, trying to play it off to act like I hadn't just lost crucial memories of our lives. I asked them to repeat what happened to make sure I remembered them correctly, and they did. Word for word, they both swear the same things happened. They still, to this day, don't know that I don't remember it, that I have no idea what made me say those things. I don't know what to make of it. I don't want to say it was a demon because it saved my friends, but it happened, and I can't remember a goddamn thing. That story is one of 2 times I have had some connection with the paranormal, knowing someone else, something else, was there with us, or apparently speaking through me. Naturally, I haven't told many people because I think they'd assume I'm batshit crazy, so I figured I would share it here. I mean, yeah, I feel like in these kind of forums, you're probably not going to find people just calling you crazy. But that's a weird one, especially considering you didn't even remember. I mean, possession, possibly. And like you said, as soon as you walked into the area near the triangle, you felt really, really weird. So maybe a possession, maybe something took over you. I mean, it sounded like it was good because it saved your friend, you know? If this is real, obviously, disclaimer, these may all be fake. We don't know. We weren't there. But I like to just pretend that they're all real in my little head. So that's what I'm doing. I would just say possession, maybe, or I don't know, some weird psychic ability, but you kind of just blacked out. Weird. That's a puzzling one. That's a puzzling one, that is. What do you think about that story? Let me know. If you're skeptical, what could that have been? What could it have been? It could be that you were a kid and you just don't remember, but why blackout? Does this person have a condition that makes them black out? Who knows? They didn't say that. I'm just going off of what they said. So it sounds pretty goddamn weird. I just had to go get myself a drink because I forgot that when I'm doing these videos, my throat starts to get a little dry because, talking. So I even told you guys, get a drink. And I didn't get one myself, so. Okay, next story. Ghost at work. True story. That could be some funny comical drama, oh, there's a ghost at work. I just read that story without hitting record, so I'll read it again for you. It's because I had to turn off the recording because people were being loud. Anyways, let's read that again, shall we? Ghost at work. True story. This happened about 4 years ago. I was working in a popular jewellery shop in a shopping centre. It was the late shift, probably around 8:30 to 9 p.m. There was me and 2 other staff members on shift. A bit of background for the story. When you're in our shop, the only way to enter the staff only area is through one door. You can get to a small office through here, which has 2 doors. One that leads to a walkway to the toilet and onto the shop floor, and another that leads to a storage area. The storage area has automatic lights that only turn on when you walk into the room. I was on shift with two other women, and I went out into the office to return some jewellery when I saw a woman's face looking back at me from behind the door of the storage area. I could see about 3/4 of her face, and the rest was covered with the door. Her facial expression was very still. She wasn't smiling. She had an angry expression, and she was staring at me. I looked away confused. Then I looked back, and she was gone. The lights in the storage room were still off, which confused me, so I walked towards the room thinking it was one of my co-workers. As I started approaching the door, a loud crash sound came from behind me. I looked back at where it was coming from, thinking a tray of charms had fallen or something. The trays we keep the charms and jewellery in aren't sealed, they are open at the top, and if they are dropped, they go everywhere. Trust me, I know. When I looked behind me, the charms were all still on the shelf, in their trays. I instantly got a sinking feeling because nothing had been moved. I then backed out of the office and went onto the shop floor where both my colleagues were working. I know it wasn't my colleagues because if they had come out of the office, I would have seen them, as the door was next to the office. There was no explanation for what happened, or who the lady was, or what made that noise. What do you guys think? What do you guys think? I think that might have been a wee bit of a ghost. I was about to say this, but yeah, someone in the comments said, look up the history of the building. The building could be historic, depending on when it was built, or someone could have potentially passed away around that area of the shop, and who knows, it could have been a past owner who was not happy about their shop now being a jewelry shop. Who knows? Someone said might have been attached to a piece of jewelry, but if it's like somewhere I'm thinking of, like say Pandora, for instance, that's new jewelry that's just been made. It's not old jewelry, so would it be attached to anything? I don't think so. Unless, like, she said she had a return, so what? Someone attached something and then returned it to the shop. I don't know. It sounds a little far-fetched, even though we're talking about ghosts and the paranormal. But yeah, who would go to the trouble for that? But yeah, I would like be curious about the history of the building, and if anyone has passed away in that building or in that area, there might be pictures and they might look like the woman who OP saw. You never know. Okay. My throat is still like not clear, so I'm a bit croaky. Oh wow, this one has no paragraphs, but heyo, this means it's gonna be a bit harder to read, but it's fine. It's only like done on a phone and they're just like text. And anyway, this one is just called Church Graveyard. Graveyards are creepy even during the day because you know that there's just dead people underground, and they have like a weird air around them, don't you think? Like, I don't know, there's always like kind of, maybe it's just psychological because you walk into a graveyard and you know what it is and what it's for and why it's there, but like, I don't know, there's just kind of this air to them, and they all seem to have different feels too. Not that I just frequent graveyards. I might look like I do, but I don't know, sometimes they're just relaxing to sit in, especially like a big one. There's quite a big one near me, and it is quite a nice little place to sit and think and just be have peaceful time to yourself. But then there's like the older ones, like the old church ones, and you're just like, they're really creepy. they're all kind of run down and overgrown. I'm just thinking of Haworth right now, the one that comes to mind, to be fair, and that's a creepy graveyard. Anyway, let's get on with this story. So it's just called Church Graveyard. Probably creepy because it's a church one. Because I don't care what anyone says. Churches are creepy. Sorry for the bad spelling. I know there will be some in here. Also, I am writing this at 3 in the morning because it happened tonight. Oh no. We all know about 3 a.m. Oh, you should. It's the witching hour. People think it's midnight, but it's not. It's 3 a.m. This is a new account, so nobody can trace this back to me. For obvious reasons, I'm going to change the names in the story. So my two friends and I were hanging out swimming at my friend John's pond. We just hung out going from his pond to lakes around. It's what teens do in Indiana during the summer. We got done and were heading to my friend Larry's house because that's where all our cars were. I love the names. John, Larry. Our other friend, Elijah, called us and asked us to hang out. We were all down, but then he told us he wanted to go to this church that was known for haunted shit. Elijah had some weird ass story about it, and he's not one to lie about that type of stuff. But I didn't buy it because I don't believe in that kind of thing. Anyways, my friend John had stories too, so he wasn't going to go. So I went home, took a shower, and Larry and Elijah came to pick me up. It was around 12 a.m. at this point. They kept telling me about all the creepy shit that they had seen or that they had heard from other people. We got to the church and parked. Now they were afraid. Well, yeah, you probably scared yourselves before even getting there. They were afraid of seeing some ghost or something because I was scared of someone calling the cops because it was a party spot for kids drinking, doing drugs, and a couple were caught having, you know what, in a car in a church graveyard. Okay, fair enough. Why would a church graveyard be a party spot? But then again, if there's not anywhere like cool around, kids will just find places, to be honest. Anyway, it was out in the middle of nowhere though, so it made me feel safer somehow. I've been on ghost hunts before with my dad and his friends, as they used to do them all the time. So, when it came to stuff like that, I know something because I've been around it. We got out and checked it out a little. We just walked around the graves and nothing happened. I was a little peeved because I was promised something scary. Larry went to go back to his car, and I almost had to beg him to do one more lap around the graveyard. I said we came all the way out here, so one more lap. And Elijah said we did drive a little bit. I started to use one of those ghost apps on my phone. It uses white noise or something, and we got a couple of words but nothing much. I turned it off and read my Bible. I was told that would annoy ghosts. I mean, it might not. Might annoy other things, but you know. I read Revelation 6. I think it's the one about death and hell follows him. Almost immediately, I got Pastor on the app. I didn't even realize the importance of it. Elijah pointed it out, and I was like, oh, that's creepy. But probably just one of the default words. Then we got bright, which hits me immediately. The first thing Elijah said was how bright it was. And at this point, it's like 12:30. 4 minutes later, we got a couple of words that didn't make sense. But then it goes Ellie. Larry said he had seen a grave with that name on it. We found it. It was Ella, which was weird, but not running for the hills weird. There was nothing going on, so we were about to leave when Elijah told me if you rubbed this grave, you'd get bad luck, so I rubbed it. I guess if you're like really skeptical and young, you're gonna do stuff like this. The two guys before him who did it, one had wrecked his car really bad, and the other one almost died at work because someone had accidentally mixed chemicals and made mustard gas. But he lived. We got in the car and were still effing around with ghosts when I noticed Elijah talked. It really annoyed them. I taught them and it would be green. He taught them it would shoot up to red. That's not annoying them. That's just meaning that they're closer to you. So if it's like an EMF reader, we got a bunch of stuff about government, which we found funny. Then we got hung on the thing, and the music started playing in the car, which was so scary. We turned it off, and then I heard someone behind us. It was like boots on the gravel. I thought it was a cop or someone telling us to leave, so I looked back, and no one was there. I started to hyperventilate, and I was like, dude, drive. Larry said, "What is it?" And I just kept saying, "Drive." He took off so fast that we were spinning gravel. As we were driving, I was telling them what happened. They didn't hear anything. I think my friend thought I was joking, but to be fair, I was messing with them all night. I think they knew I was serious when my heart felt it was beating out of my chest. I calmed down a little. We went to this hotel because there was a story about it being haunted. I guess someone unalived themselves on the top floor. You can't get to it through the stairs. There's only one elevator that takes you up there, but I was worried about the guy in the office seeing us. So you snuck into a hotel? Cool. Nothing happened. We couldn't find the top floor, so we were leaving, but the ghost app popped up office. We left, went to another place, nothing happened. So we left again and went to my church, and we heard a bang on the trunk of a car. We drove over to the side of it, and I got record on the ghost app. It was around 1:40, so we started recording. We lost most of our video, but we got a part of when my friend yelled something like, "Show yourself," or "Show us something," and the music turned on again, and the ghost app popped up with "kill." We got the F out of there, but we went to another road where Elijah saw a ghost dog, and we saw 3 deer on the right side of the road, 3 raccoons on the left side of the road, and then 3 birds in the middle of the road. I mean, isn't too bad, but stuff in 3 and paranormal stuff and mocking the Holy Trinity. I wasn't Catholic, but my mum dated a Catholic for a while, and I've learnt some things like this. 3, I think in Christianity people do believe that 3 is like mocking the Holy Trinity, but I don't believe this to be true, considering the amount of times in the Bible itself the number 3 pops up, but also in so many different religions. Modern day religions, old pagan religions, the number 3 is like really important. So I don't, for one, think it is like a mockery of the Holy Trinity. To be fair, I would say it's more of a sign. Maybe that's a warning, considering you saw like 3 of these animals. So yeah, I don't really believe this whole like it's mocking the Holy Trinity, just because there's so many other instances in different religions where 3 is like important. So there was no ghost dog, so we went home. And this is where the story split. We all had weird stuff happen to us. Elijah drove past a house that was abandoned and saw all the lights on. Larry dropped me off and called me as I was explaining to my other friend. So I hung up on Jack to call Larry back, and he said when he was driving home, his car got really cold even though he had the heat on, and he felt something touch his arm. In the middle of our call, we got a fire call. Me and Larry were on the fire department. As I was driving out there, I saw 3 more deer on the left side of the road. And then I passed an older man in a bright orange shirt, and when I looked back, he was gone. I can still remember his face. We were thinking about going back tomorrow, but don't know anymore. That was like so hard to read, so I'm sorry if that was a little bit like weird when I was reading it, but like, if all that is true, you did something. You were mocking ghosts, you said, and you were like trying to annoy them. Something might have followed you. All 3 of you. This is why we don't mock ghosts or the paranormal or anything spiritual, even if you don't believe in it. Even if you are so skeptical, just don't mock things, especially like, oh, I'm going to try and irritate this potential spirit because it can't do anything to me. There are so many stories out there of spirits definitely doing things to people. Maybe go back and apologize. Learn how to cleanse yourself, look into cleansing rituals, and maybe carry some protection around with you for a bit. Do not irritate ghosts. You might think, oh, this might be a really nice spirit and they're telling me that they're nice, but they might not be. Okay? They might be tricking you. You don't know this because you can't see them. You can't see that kind of realm, dimension, whatever, So just don't let this be a lesson, and don't write things at 3 a.m. because I can't read that. There was no punctuation, so I'm sorry if that was a bit like higgledy-piggledy when I was trying to read it. One more. I'm gonna do one more. Thankfully, this one has paragraphs, and it's called Haunted Town Buildings. I decided to go ahead and share an experience with some potential ghosts I have encountered while investigating some buildings in my town. In 2022, my friend and I developed an interest in ghosts. Our town and the surrounding area had about 2 stories that stuck out when it came to ghosts. The first one that most people knew about was the Ghost Road. I will not get too much into that story, although it is very interesting, but it was mostly just a tradition in our town during Halloween to get people spooked. The second story was a little less known, but if you were a child in school, you would have heard about it. Yeah, all the like weird, creepy, local like myths and stuff. Why is it always told in schools? Like, why do all the kids know about weird shit? Like, what is that about? Did you have any like weird things in your school? Like, not like the Bloody Mary, because I feel like that's everywhere, but like, I don't know, something specific to like your school or your area that all the kids knew about and would tell people. Our town has a historical museum that showcases our town's history. It is a very old building and is full of artifacts and items from our town over many years. In late elementary school, everyone would take a field trip there and then go to get ice cream afterwards. While there, we would hear about the story of Abigail, the ghost. The story goes that Abigail was 17 years old and was stood up on a prom date and died of a broken heart. Oh. This was just a story that the museum curator would say to spook the kids, which it did. But it was also a story to go along with the strange things that would happen in the museum. The museum curator explained that a room on the 2nd floor of the building, now called Abigail's room, would have the lights turn on in the middle of the night, with no one in there. The building is right across from the town courthouse, and the police would often call the museum curator and ask if anyone was in the building, fearing a break-in had happened. No one was ever in the building. I had some simple ghost equipment that I had bought online, a cheap EMF reader, a spirit box, and a twist-on flashlight. My friend had gotten hold of me, explaining that he was interested in contacting the museum curator about doing a ghost hunt at the museum. My friend, a few other friends, and I had a meeting with her, and without much convincing at all, she agreed to our coming late at night and doing an investigation. A few days later, we started our investigation. We started by sitting at the large table together with the museum curator and coming up with a game plan. We started with the EMF reader and the spirit box in the kitchen area. We didn't get much. We got some audio that was not very clear and could not be ruled out as supernatural. We moved through the house. At the stairwell, we got some spikes in the EMF. I don't see a spike from an EMF I bought off Amazon as concrete proof of supernatural, but it definitely was exciting. We moved to the second floor after going up an old spiral staircase. The first floor was filled with old artifacts from the 1900s. We moved through some rooms and got some voices on the spirit box and EMF spikes, but nothing too convincing. That was until we moved to the back room. The back room was small and filled with dresses and clothing. We decided to set the flashlight down, twisted barely on so with any touch it could turn on and off, but not so touchy that a footstep or a gust of air would mess with it. The first thing we asked was, if there is anything here, can you please turn on the flashlight? Instantly, the flashlight turned on. We were all in shock. Can you please turn off the flashlight for us? Immediately, it turned off. We would ask many questions. This was several years ago, and I can't remember them. And every question would be met with the flashlight reps nodding. There was no time during the flashing experiment that it would turn on or off without question. We have spent around 30 minutes talking to it before moving to the basement. The basement felt extremely off. We did not get much from the EMF or spirit box, but the flashlight worked extremely well. We would ask questions down there, asking if this was the same spirit, and it responded that it was not. The spirit did not answer every question like the one before. It was only answering a few questions with yes. These questions were, are you a different spirit? Are you an evil spirit? And a question that ended up with us deciding to leave. Do you want to hurt us? After hearing that the spirit was not too fond of us, we ended up leaving that night. We had done a few more investigations there, not learning anything really new. The last day we went, we sat down with the museum curator, who explained to us that maybe we could make some money off of this. Maybe we could do something with this during Halloween. After this discussion in the museum, our investigations never came back with anything. No flashlight turning on or off. No EMF, no spirit box. Later, my friend would see the museum curator at the store and speak with her. She explained that the whole investigation at the museum changed how she thought about everything. Maybe after the museum curator was like, oh, we could make money off of this, the spirit was just like, no. Like, you're not getting money out of me, thank you very much. But yeah, that's weird, innit? Like, especially with like the flashlights. I have heard that that's a really good method. Those kind of lights where you twist them on and off. Weirdly, like, spirits can use them really easily. I don't know. Or like things that you just have to touch, kind of like a REM pod where you just touch it. Those kind of things are probably some of the easiest things to use because spirits can just kind of go near them. Yeah, that was a cool one. I like how this one's an actual like investigation though, and talking about actual like investigators going out and doing a ghost hunt. I would love to do that, but I'd also be so scared and freak out at anything. I'd be like, is anyone here? And I'll get like, I don't know, if I had a REM pod, it'd go off and I'd scream and run away. So it's like, oh my god, no. That means that there is something actually there. It would be interesting though to do a actual paranormal investigation, but maybe not now. Maybe that can be something for very, very far into the future, because I have no plans on doing anything like that. Nowhere to go either. To be honest, there's probably loads of places I could go, like nearby, but I'm not planning on doing that right now. Just FYI, I'm gonna stick with just reading the ghost stories and reading about other people's experiences. But this one, I did like this one because this one's an actual investigation, like I said. And, you know, it might have been Abigail. It might have been Abigail. I know there's that app called the Necrometer, or whatever it's called. And that's like a spirit box, but words can come out. And I don't know how like accurate it is or anything, but it might work. I do have that, and sometimes I'll just put it on at random places and get weird words coming out. I was in York not too long ago, and I was in basically a crypt. York Museum, like I think it's like York. Is it just called Yorkshire Museum? I think it's called. That's got an old like abbey connected to it, and me and my sister and my brother, we went down into like this crypt area. Mum and dad were just like sat, you know, chilling in the sun, and I was like, oh, I'm gonna like get my app out and see what I got. And I was getting some weird things. To start off with, I was like, oh, it said like 1970s. I'm like, oh, okay. And said someone had fallen or fell, and if you, yeah, there was like high walls, and if you could climb over and fell, you probably might end up hurting yourself or losing your life, depending on how you fell. So I was like, oh, I wonder if someone actually did fall here in the 70s, which is sad, you know. But there's also like coffins, and it's like in a circle. It's coffins, and I was getting weird stuff. I was getting weird stuff about like satanic rituals. And I was like, yeah, I can imagine people doing that here because they're fucking stupid and getting like evil stuff and everything. And I'm just like, okay, I'm getting weird vibes now. I'm feeling a bit off. This is weird. And me and my sister, because my younger sister, who isn't young, isn't a child, she's 23. So, oh, let's do Ring a Ring of Roses. And for some reason, we were doing that. And then in the app, it said that game has a dark historical past. And I was like, no. I mean, it does, you know. I'm pretty sure in Ring a Roses about the plague or something. Something along them lines. So I was like, I can't believe it just said that. Because that's true. And that's literally what we were just doing. And it literally came out in like a sentence. That game has like a dark historical past or something. And I was so like gobsmacked. I was just like, And then I started getting the weird stuff about the rituals, and I'm like, alright, I'm turning it off now. And nobody is coming near us. I'm protected. Sort of. My family are protected. No. Maybe don't go to weird sites where people would probably do weird fucking rituals, because people are dumb. I'm just saying. There's Satanists who, you know, the whole like Satanistic church and stuff, and which isn't actually a church. And if you looked into it, you would find that it's actually not like worshipping the devil. But then there's devil worshippers who actually sacrifice animals and possibly people too, and do stupid stuff. Maybe I won't go and open like a spirit box in those kind of areas again. York is a good place, though, maybe to start with investigations, because I'm pretty sure the whole city is probably haunted. Anyway, that is that for this episode, guys. Thank you so much for being with me and listening or watching, either on YouTube or Spotify. I hope you're all doing very well and you're all enjoying the summer, even though it is hot and humid here. And I wish we had just a bit more rain, because where I am in the world, we're actually in a drought. In England, can you believe it? But thank you all so much for watching. Like this, give me a follow, subscribe if you would like to, etc. Drop anything in the comments that you wish to drop in the comments, and I will see you in the next episode, either next week or in 2 weeks' time. Thank you very much. Have a lovely rest of your day, and if it is the evening when you are watching this, sweet dreams.